Hey everyone, Retire on Dividends here, back to make another monthly update to my account. So this account, I call it the Retire Now account. This is the account that I'm trying to build up to produce an income that will be enough that I can retire early. Now, this account is also used for emergency income. Most people have what's called an emergency fund, which is basically a savings account of money just sitting there, waiting to be used in case something breaks in the house or whatnot. But instead of doing that, what I do is I create an emergency income fund. So I don't have any money sitting idle. All of my money is earning money. And if I need to use the income from this account, I'll do it. If something drastic happens, and we can't afford it based on the current income, we will use this income to do that. So that's basically the idea behind this account. It's in a taxable account, so obviously I have to pay taxes on it every year, which to me is not a big deal because I have a full-time job and I did increase the amount that goes into my federal and state income. Will it be enough? You don't know, right? Hopefully it will be. If not, I adjust it the following year and I pay what I owe. But anyway, that's the point of this account. So let's get to it. So I did do a lot of changes this month, so bear with me. Don't get too upset. I had too many funds under too many indexes, so I needed to do a cleanup. I want to own less funds. I want to own more of the funds I love, okay? And I also kept in mind margin maintenance, which is a new kind of field I added, because I am using margin now. So I'm using margin and I'm allowed to borrow a certain percentage, on certain funds. Some funds, when they have 100% margin maintenance, you can't borrow any money on that, which is ridiculous. And I know it's not fair. Some of the funds are really good. Like I think the Roundhill funds, for example, if I go to them, right? QDTE, XDTE, 100% margin maintenance. Absolutely ridiculous. They did not deserve that. But it is what it is, and I have to take that into consideration because I'm using my margin for now earning options premium. All right, now that that's out of the way, let's get to it. So AMZ is one, obviously, I'm keeping. I currently own 260 shares. My average cost basis is $21.33. I'm actually down on AMZ now. For the longest time, I've been doing pretty good. But, overall, I'm down in capital, which is surprising. The current allocation of AMZ it's 9.2% of my portfolio. I'm down 455 in capital depreciation, which to me is no big deal. For the month of August, I did get paid $118.40. My yield on cost is 25% because that was a pretty shitty payment, to be honest. So, the yield on cost, it was a crappy payment. Plus, I did add additional shares this month. So keep in mind, if I do add shares, sometimes the monthly distribution was not, I didn't get paid for those shares. So this yield on cost sometimes is not as accurate as I would like it to be. It would be too much work to try to track, the yield on cost on only the shares that I had at the time. Total distributions from AMZ is, well, no, I'm sorry. That's the old total. I have to use updated total is $1,827.39. So far, they have paid 32.95% of my original investment back. My total return on this fund, obviously this deducts out the capital depreciation we spoke of, is $1,372. Total return 24.75%. All right, I'm not going to go through every fund like that. I will go through a few that may be interesting. If I look at, oh yeah, by the way, AMZ is 50% margin maintenance, which is good, which means I could borrow on 50% of the market value that's in there. NVDY, I did not add new shares. Why? Because my cost basis is still below the trade price. At one point, it got really close, but I still own my 180 at 21.64. My account allocation, it's 8.26% of my portfolio. Capital appreciation, I'm up 676. Total monthly distribution was 225.22. Yield on cost, it's accurate. In this case, 69%. Updated total distributions they have paid me so far, $3,472.68. So at this point, I'm at 89% house money, which is awesome. Obviously, we have a payment coming up shortly, so maybe 2 more payments and I could be at 100%. I don't know, maybe 3. But total return, I'm up over 100%, 106%. So I love it. Nefli, again, another one of my favorites. You know, there's only certain YieldMax funds that I feel like work perfectly. And AMZ, NVIDIA, and Nefli are really the top 3, you know, in my eyes. Obviously, Misty now as well. But I have them in a separate account, which I'll get into another time. And then, of course, I have Phoebe and Coney, which, you know, they're right behind. But Coney's kind of more of like a trade basis. I'll own it, I'll sell it, I'll own it, I'll sell it. Phoebe's, I'm on the fence. I could sell that thing at any time. But look at the margin maintenance on Phoebe, 30%, which means I could borrow on 70% of that. I mean, that's really good. All right, so let's go through Nefli. Nefli, I own 250 shares. My cost base is 1805. Current price of that is 17.15, so I'm down. They are 7.75% of my portfolio. Capital depreciation, I'm down 225. They did pay me 143.50 this month. My yield on cost for them is 38%. And if I look at total distributions, again, this number doesn't really matter to you guys, but it does for the total return calculation. But I did get paid a total of $1,771. I'm at 40% house money, and total return is I am up 34% on this investment. All right, let's move on to Phoebe. Phoebe, I have 210 shares. I've been adding to this one. My cost base is 1990, so I'm down on this one. Currently, they are 7.22% of my portfolio. I'm down 182.70. They paid me 158.72 this month. And total, well, house money, I got a ways to go. I did just make this, they're a new fund to me. Total return, though, I'm up 9.39%. Coney. Again, Coney is what I'll call one of the YieldMax trade funds. So I'm going to buy when they're low and I'll sell when they're high. If I get stuck in between, I'll just get paid the high, the decent distribution that they do, because they've been on a dip for a while. 50% margin maintenance for them, which is pretty good. 80 shares I own. I'm down. My cost basis is $15.93. They are only 2.19% of my portfolio. Obviously, I'm okay with that. I'm down $64.80 in capital. They've only paid me $10.06 this month because, again, I didn't own that many shares in the beginning of the month, so we can't even look at yield on cost. So total return, I am down 4.3%. But again, they keep on dipping, so it's all good. I'll keep averaging down, and then eventually, hopefully, it'll come back. Crypto will recover. Speaking of crypto, MSTY and Coney were the funds I was going to buy and trade. However, Misty is now the majority of my dividend car fund. Again, I could do an update on the dividend car fund probably once a month going forward. I'm not sure if I'll do a separate video, but that's why I have sold out of Misty completely. I will not buy them again in this account because I am too highly allocated in the other account. I did buy about $20,000 worth, in case you're wondering. But yeah, so no information on Misty. Anything gray is what I sold out of. YieldMax, their 50% margin maintenance, pretty good. 300 shares I own. My cost basis kind of sucks because they've been tanking. My cost basis is 1957. They're at 1774. Current allocation, they are 9.61% of my portfolio. I always did say I don't mind if they're 10% of my portfolio. I'm down 549 in capital. They did pay me 177 this past month. Yield on cost, 36%. I'd like that to be 40%, but it is what it is. Total return, I'm only up 0.24%. Again, not ideal, but in time, I trust this will be much better. All right, Ulti, believe it or not, Ulti has a better margin maintenance than YieldMax. YieldMax, I could borrow 50% on. Ulti, I could borrow 70% on. Again, Charles Schwab, like what are you thinking? Like I do not understand. If anyone knows the method to the madness, because every brokerage is different on top of that. I just don't get it. Whatever. So anyway, I'm keeping Ulti. I own 220 shares. Cost basis sucks on that. 1447 versus 1128 current price. Current allocation, they're under 5%, so that's a good spot for them, 4.48%. I wouldn't mind them being over 5 though. Monthly distribution, they paid me 156 this past month. Yield on costs, 58%. They're the ones that help keep me above that 40% range, on average. House money, they've paid back 21%. However, total return is ugly, negative 0.24%, almost complete opposite of YieldMax. Wow. All right, JEPY. Oh, so I had to decide which index tickers I wanted to keep because I owned like every index high yield fund, and I had to start eliminating some. Out of Defiance, I always said JEPY is the safe bet, and Defiance is one of the higher risk plays. So JEPY was the winner between them and QQQY. IWMY, I didn't really have a competitor for them, right? So I didn't want to sell them yet. So they're kind of on the fence for me. They're a really good performer. So of the three, currently JEPY is here to stay. IWMY is on the fence. And, you know, we'll go through the others as we get there. So anyway, for JEPY, I own 70 shares. Cost basis, 50.77. I'm down on capital, obviously, for that. But my allocation, they're only 5.84% of my portfolio, which is okay. They paid me $111.64 this past month. Yield on cost, 37%. That's kind of low. I wish it's above. I want that to stay above 40%. And total return is 9.35%. Again, I did sell out of QQQY, but they did pay me $166.84 for the month. So let's look at IWMY. And by the way, all three of these are margin maintenance 50%. Go figure. These are 50%, and you know, Round Hill is 100%. Anyway, 70 shares of IWMY. Current cost basis $49. The trade price is 40. So yeah, crappy cost basis. I try to average down when I can. Current allocation, they are 5.1% of my portfolio. So I'm down 615.30. They paid me $176 this past month. Yield on cost 61%. So I'm happy with that. Total return on them, they have paid me a total return of 10.61%. So I love that. Now, before you freak out, yes, I did sell out of SPY-T. The reason I sold out of SPY-T is because I chose JEPY to work as my S&P fund. I don't want, you know, and I also have SPY-I. I had to keep SPY-I because they're a great performer. So I have SPY-I and I have JEPY, you know, both S&P 500 income funds. I did not need a third, so I had to sell SPY-T. Since I sold QQQY, I decided to keep QQQT. So of the two, I went with QQQT. Both of these funds are amazing. However, they do only yield 20%. So if you're okay with that, you know, 20%, then these funds are great for you because they do preserve capital for the most part. QQQT, it doesn't show that from inception because they launched at a terrible time. But again, it's a great fund. So don't think I hate SPY-T. SPY-T is an awesome fund. It's just not working. I can't just own all these funds anymore. It's just too much. It's not working for what I'm trying to do. But SPY-T did pay me $33, and I wish them the best. So let's focus on QQQT. I have 100 shares of QQQT. Cost basis sucks because I got it at a bad time. $20.44. The trade price is $19.27, but that's close enough. Current allocation, it's 3.48% of my portfolio. They did pay me $31.75. Yield on cost, 18.64%. Total return, I'm in the negative because, again, I bought at a bad time. Now, as far as Round Hill is concerned, XDTE, this is a fund. I recently recorded a video retiring on Round Hill Part 2, and oddly enough, XDTE is much better performer total return wise than QDTE. But I did decide to keep QDTE in this account. However, I'm going to buy XDTE in my wife's dividend car account. So keep that in mind. Yes, I did sell out of XDTE on this account, but I did keep QDTE here. So I have QDTE and I have QQQT, which, you know, that gives me two funds for NASDAQ. So hopefully QDTE continues to perform because, you know, another reason to sell out of these, I had to get rid of one of each. They're 100% margin maintenance, like ridiculous. I know it's stupid to think like, to sell based on that, but now I'm playing the margin game. So unfortunately, I have to keep that into consideration. So anyway, XDTE, what do they pay me for the month? Do they pay me anything? Yeah, $15.27. But let's focus on QDTE. I now own 80 shares of them. My cost base is 42.55. Trade price is around there. The current allocation, they are 6.13% of my portfolio. They paid me 94.27 this month, 33% yield on costs. I want to get that above 40. That would be nice. Total return, I'm up 3.41% on QDTE. SFOL, believe it or not, is 100% maintenance as well, but I can't sell SFOL. SFOL is a really good performer. To me, SFOL and SPY is what's just going to keep my account, the capital preserved. They're essentially like a capital flat fund that pays a decent dividend. So let's look at SFOL for now. I own 130 shares. Cost base is 22.59, so a little. Trade price is currently a little below that. Current allocation, they're 5.26 of my portfolio, 5.26%. They paid me $36 this month. I know that's low. Yield on cost, 14%. Of course, that's low. But, keep in mind, these are pretty stable funds. Total return, I am up 10.97% on my position. SFOL, look at that margin maintenance. That's a beauty, man. 30%. That means I could borrow on 70% of SPY. So I'm keeping this baby. 70 shares I own. My cost basis is 47.70. I've been up on capital for a long time on this, so it's hard to find buying opportunities because the current trade price is at 50.89. They're 6.44% of my portfolio. I'm happy with that position. I could buy more. Obviously, if it dips below my cost basis, I will buy more. Monthly distribution, $38.95 for the month of August. Yield on cost, 14%. House money is not even close. They'll get there in time. Total return, I am up 19.47% on my original investment. Now, QQQI is like SPY's brother. I had to keep one. I had to get rid of one because I already have the Qs on QDTE and QQQT. So I had to sell QQQI. Again, it's a newer fund. I'm sure it's going to do well, but I had to get rid of it, even though they're 30% margin maintenance. FEPI, 30% margin maintenance as well. That's good to hear. AIPI, though, 100% margin maintenance, so they did not make the cut. I kind of felt a lot of overlap between the two, even though AIPI yields a better, has a better yield than FEPI. I'm going to stick with FEPI. So FEPI, I have 100 shares, cost basis 55.07, trade price 50.81, so I'm down on them capital-wise. They're 9.18% of my portfolio, which I'm okay with. Capital gains, again, I'm down 426. They paid me 107.93 for the month. My yield on cost is 23.52%. As you know, they pay 25% yield, but obviously my cost basis is higher than the current price. So my yield on cost is 23.52%. Hopefully I'm assuming most of you understand yield on cost. If not, let me know. Total return, I'm up 4.78% on FEPI. So AIPI, as mentioned, I sold. I don't think they paid me, no, they did not pay me a monthly distribution. All right, now let's talk about options. So I'm now trading 3 different funds for options: TSLL, TNA, and BitX. These also have margin maintenance. Why do I care? Because if I get assigned, it's now part of my account, and then I need to make sure I can borrow on these funds. TNA, I'm not happy. That's 75%, but it is what it is. TSLL and BitX is 50%, which is pretty good. Currently, I got assigned TSLL, so I do own 200 shares for what that's worth. Which is only 3.48% of my portfolio, which is, nothing. Monthly distribution, how much I made in options this month, 1,021. That's obviously a record for me for the month. I had a really good month, so this is going to boost up my total income. So again, my options journey is amazing. Go check out my options weekly video, by the way. Current cash, current amount sitting in cash, I have $3,536 sitting in cash. I have that plus, what I have in margin, which I don't know the exact amount, but there's an amount that I could borrow on margin, of course. And obviously that's always there for me to do options on, sell puts, sell calls, whatever. So in the end, where do we stand here? So my current current investment is at I have 55,353.84. Monthly distribution total 2,812.07. Total distributions is again 13,589.67. Total return 10,797.87. So again, the ones I sold out, they'll be off of the next next month's list. So now I'm down to 14 actual high yielding funds. I plan to cut more, I just don't know where. There will be new funds coming out. So for example, if Roundhill comes out with the Russell version of their fund, I may consider having that versus IWMY. And you know, I could sell IWMY and probably get rid of QDTE in the process. And that way I just have the one Roundhill. I don't know. I have to think about it because I just don't want too much overlap of different funds. And I want to keep the best funds, like whatever works. To me, JEPI works best for Defiance. Obviously, total return wise, you know, I'm wrong. IWMY is total return wise, but it's just in my, you know, my gut feeling, S&P 500 using that strategy, I feel like would work best. And to me, is, in my opinion, is safer. So whatever I feel safer on, that's my, you know, my thought, my account, but helps me sleep better at night. So yeah, as far as everything else, what else am I going to cut? Like I said, Phoebe can go anytime. I don't really give a damn about them. Best thing they got going is 30% margin maintenance. Coney, I will buy and sell as I please. IWMY, I mentioned, could go. QQQT, I would like to keep. QDTE can go if needed. And that's pretty much it. Definitely not selling FEPI. Definitely not selling any of the other YieldMax I spoke of. YieldMax, Ulti, keeping those. JEPY, definitely keeper. SFOL, SPY, they're not going anywhere. So again, you got to make cuts. It's not easy. There's a lot of good options out there. And I may change my mind the following month, but this is just where I'm at today. This is what I think is the best decision for me, because I just felt like it was just too much. I was owning way too many funds. And again, you guys may think differently, and that's fine. All right, so let's get to the fun part, right? Let's zoom out so we can get all the columns in there. So if I go for the month of August, well, here's the thing, guys. Since I use margin, I have a lot more money at my disposal. So what I'm trying to do is use all of my cash to use for the high income funds, and then I'm using margin for the options trading. And when I start options, I do a wheel strategy, and that starts with selling a put. So if you sell a put, then that essentially goes under your account as cash on hold. So you're using the margin, but it's on cash on hold. So if it, for example, if you sell a put and it doesn't get assigned, that cash that's on hold, you don't have to pay interest on that. So that's why I'm deciding to use my margin on that. But even if I get assigned and I have to start paying interest, you know, my annualized yield that I'm making on option is much more than the 12% that they're charging me. So I'm okay with that. And typically it's a quick turnaround, because if I get assigned, I just sell calls for the, you know, the cost basis I got assigned on. So it's not a big deal, and it's been working out great. So that being said, I always strive for a 40% yield based on the cash capital. I'll call it cash capital. So now I'm adding yield with margin. This will be my goal yield going forward, 60%. Why did I use 60%? That's because that's basically what I yielded this month. I had a good month this month, so hopefully I can maintain that. My goal now, using the 60%, my goal income this month was $2,722.33. I made $2,812. All right, so that's a win. Let me highlight that in green. Success. All right, now capital-wise, I'm supposed to be at $57,168. However, I'm at $55,353, so that's a goal that's missed right there. It's not easy to maintain capital with these funds, as you know. So sometimes I'll do an assistance and I'll throw additional money. However, I didn't have any money to do that, so, you know, this is where I stand. So I'm kind of at, you know, sitting in limbo. However, if I can still yield 60% or more, hopefully I can hit those income goals. Again, this is an aggressive goal, but based on the margin now that I'm utilizing, I'm not considering that into the capital, which is why I'm increasing the yield goal. Hopefully that all makes sense. All right, so now that actually changes. If I put 60% and I go here to the estimate, let me zoom out here. There you go. So when can I retire, right? Look at the income. This is monthly income. So let's say you can retire with what, 240,000. That's what, 20, do we want to say, no, let's say, what do you want to say? 20,000 a month? That's 240. Yeah, let's say 20,000 a month. 20,000 a month is possible January of 2028. Right now we're in what, 2024? So that's less than 4 years from now. So I can retire in less than 4 years if I can keep this up. So, you know, again, that sounds amazing. We're in August, of course. So if we do 4 years from August, I'm looking at $28,000 a month. And why am I going so high, right? Why do I need that much income, 240,000? Well, again, I have 2 children, still young. I need benefits, and, you know, I have a stay-at-home, you know, wife. So I am the only income. So I have to keep that into consideration. So again, the goal income should still leave me enough cushion that I can still not only use this money for bills, but reinvest a portion of it. So I have this going all the way down to, I think, the 5-year or 6-year mark, which is September 2030. So even if I have to wait till then, could you imagine an income of $95,000 a month? At that time, my capital should be around 2 million. I mean, that's insane numbers. Again, I don't know how the 60% will play out, but I will do my damnedest to trade options the way I have been and hit those income goals. And that's, again, if you don't know about options, you should learn about it. I'm not saying you should trade options. I'm saying you should at least learn about it and understand it. Because these YieldMax funds, Defiance funds, Roundhill funds, how do they pay such a high yield? How do you think they pay such a high yield? They're doing options. So imagine if you did options at your own pace, right? Like you could make your own, you know, you can make money on the side. That's what I'm doing. I'm putting my cash to work with them. I'm paying them the expense, and I'm using the margin, basically the money I'm borrowing, and I'm doing my own options. So far, so good. It's working out really good. Obviously, my capital is not staying flat, which is kind of expected. However, if I can keep the income goal, then that's a win. I may have to do some assistance if I have it. I doubt I will. But even if, you know, a couple hundred, if I could throw in there just to boost my capital up, it's kind of like a little cheat code, that assistance column. It's like it's a little cheat, to be honest. But again, I got to do what I got to do to hit my goals. Because again, if I want to retire, the goal for me is less than 5 years. I tell people at work that, they laugh at me. But yeah, because nobody thinks it's realistic. Everyone thinks you have to work until you're, until you can collect, you know, Medicare, Social Security. You know, what Social Security, like, that's a joke. Whatever you get paid in Social Security, assuming it's around, that's nothing anyway. So why the hell wait that long? Medicare, okay, fine. That's a huge benefit, you know, because health benefits are a freaking scam. But again, each state, you could buy your own benefits nowadays anyway, so just price that out. You know, that's a huge thing. Obviously, if you don't have kids, even better. You know, you have less expenses, but medical matters when you have 2 kids, especially young kids. I hit my deductible typically the first 3 months of every year, and I have a high deductible plan. So that's why it's important to make sure I have more than enough money coming in, you know, before I even say. And by the way, when I say retire, I'm just saying the option to retire. It doesn't mean I will actually quit my full-time job, but it means I actually will have the ability to. And even if I did quit my full-time job, I'm going to get another job. I'm going to get a job closer to home. That is fun and easy. A job that I always say, you know, a job at Costco. I'll be the greeter. I'll be like, hey, you know, welcome to Costco. Let me see your ID, and that's it. I go home. Guess what? The work stays at work. There's no freaking emails. There's no this and that. That's the beauty of those type of jobs. I know people laugh at me. But you know, it's going to happen. Something like that. Nice, easy job. If not, I'll work at a gym. I'll be there. I'll check in your badge. I'll get a free membership and I'll work out after my shift. Something like that. I don't know. What do you guys think? If you actually retire, what are you going to do as a part-time job or a full-time job? Anyway, guys, that's the account update. That's the Retire Now account update. Stay tuned for the dividend car update as I work on it. It's a work in progress, but I think it's going to be really fun. Of course, it's very risky, but it's just something I don't even give a damn anymore. High risk, high reward. Let's do this. So stay tuned for that. Obviously, the next time I do this update will be next month. And again, this is one of my favorite updates. You know, as long as it works out, of course, hit my income goals. But as always, none of this is financial advice. I'm not a financial advisor. This video is for fun and entertainment. So hopefully you had fun. Hopefully you were entertained. If not, I will try again next month. And just because I own funds, please don't make decisions based on that. Do what's right for you, because if not, you'll change your mind 50 different times if you try to follow some YouTuber or someone online. Just do what makes you comfortable. Do what makes you sleep at night. Do what's right for you and your family. All right, and that's it. No one else matters. You take these videos that you watch. You watch all of them. You take a little piece by piece, and then you make your own, your best decision. But let me know what you think of what I did as far as selling and the funds that I'm holding. Do you think it's a good idea? Do you think I'm dumb? Let me know in the comments down below. If you enjoyed this content, please hit the like button. If you want to help out the channel further, you can always share the video with friends and family. I now offer a membership option basically for the people who want to further support the channel. A lot of people always asked over the past year, how can I further support you? Well, here you go. There's two options. There's ROD Supporter, and then there's ROD Wolfpack. I'll leave it up to you. I'll put the link to that into the top comments of this video if you are interested. All right, guys, I'm in the garage. I'm sweating my ass off as usual, so no change there. But I just want to say thank you for watching and have a great day. Later.